If Castle Pines, Colorado is on your list of Denver suburbs that you're considering moving to, you have to watch this video first. And not because I actually think Castle Pines is a place that you shouldn't move to. I think it's fantastic, but I do think there are a lot of things you have to know about before you make the plunge. And hey, whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 900 days, my brother and I run this channel for fun. We are actually full-time real estate agents, part-time tour guides to all of Denver living. So hit us up if you have any more questions we didn't answer in this video, or if you're ready to get your home search started. We cannot talk about the cons of Castle Pines without addressing the elephant in the room, which, if you have been looking into buying in Castle Pines, you've already found the cost of living is quite a bit higher. You're looking at an average sale price in the last year of single-family homes of about $985,000. Now, this is significantly higher than the surrounding areas. You're looking at about, on average, $200K at least higher than the surrounding neighborhoods. And it's not just the closed price that you need to consider. If you're buying into Castle Pines, you're also probably buying into an HOA community. You're easily looking at a $100 a month fee here. Now, note there are different sub-associations, so that is kind of a changing figure depending on where you're at. And as far as taxes go, Castle Pines also has elevated property taxes. On average, you're looking at about a 70% increase compared to nearby neighborhoods. And you also need to consider property taxes. Comparing to nearby neighborhoods, Castle Pines has an average of about 70% annual increase on property taxes. Now, part of this comes with the newness of a community. Anytime you have a brand new build, you're going to see some elevated prices when it comes to property taxes, but it's something you've got to consider in your bottom line. As your real estate agents, that's what we're going to help you figure out. What your taxes are, what your HOAs are, and how this all factors into your monthly payment, as well as what you're getting for all of it, because this all differs from community to community. Let's talk a little bit about the HOA fees, and let's just, to make it easy, talk about them on a monthly fee basis. I know some of them are paid out quarterly or semi-annually, but this will make it easier to compare. Over in Castle Pines North, you've got some of these communities just have the $167-ish a month monthly payment. But then you've got some of those communities within Castle Pines North that have an additional HOA fee. One of the highest is Bristlecone, an additional $325 a month. You can find some of the lower HOA communities like Hidden Point, that's $57 a month. You've also got Beverly Hills, that's one of the only communities that has no HOA at all. Then you start getting back into the higher ones like Estates at Buffalo Ridge, that's over $200 a month. Or over the Canyons, that's $170 a month, but they also usually have a second HOA. The next thing that I want to touch on is not something that I hear folks talk about that much, and it's the fact that Castle Pines does not have its own public high school. Now, maybe it's not talked about that much because it's not that big of a deal to most folks. You have Rock Canyon pretty close by over in Highlands Ranch, and that's probably your most likely pick. Douglas County also does have school of choice, so you kind of have your pick of going wherever. But I do think it's worth mentioning that Castle Pines does not have its own public high school within the city limits. It also may be worth a quick note to just say that Douglas County has received a lot of flack in recent years. If you want to go make your own opinion about it, feel free to Google around and read some news articles. We also do dive into it a little bit in our Do Not Move to Castle Rock video, so feel free to check that out. It does have a town center that hits on all of your basic needs. Think the King Soopers, a couple coffee shops, some restaurants, and a couple workout joints. But as far as anything more robust, you're gonna have to travel for that. As a friend of mine in Denver once said, Castle Pines is about as boring as it gets, and the people there like it that way. And I think some people would agree with that. Some people feel that Castle Pines is secluded and boring, and that's exactly how they like it. But I know a lot of the folks that I have helped buy in Castle Pines would say Castle Pines is anything but boring. They've formed close-knit community there, as well as really explored all of the access to nature that is a really charming part of Castle Pines community. If you're interested in anything like hiking, biking, sightseeing, you're never gonna be bored. Because of the elevated cost of living that we've touched on, Castle Pines has earned a reputation of being a bit snobby. I do have some of my Denver clients that have noted they'd like to avoid it because it really just has this perception of exclusivity that other places don't have. And I think that can be true of a lot of places where you find these high purchase prices, but I'll also say that you can find down-to-earth people wherever you want to look for them. If this is something that you're really concerned about, it's worth being aware of, but I think for most people this is a non-factor. Wildlife, however, is not a perception, it's a fact of life in Castle Pines. So if you think you're gonna move to Castle Pines and start a big, beautiful garden and not ever have to worry about deer, or you think you're gonna let your cat roam around all hours of the day and night, you might wanna back up a little bit. I think most people that are pursuing a community like Castle Pines are ready to take on its closeness with nature, and with that, a proximity to wildlife. For those folks, I would just say, keep an eye on your trash, keep it secured, and if you're thinking about having a small dog or a cat, you're gonna wanna keep an eye on them. Castle Pines is a fairly new suburb, and for any even somewhat modern suburb, I'm gonna have the same thing to say, which is you're gonna have to be okay with cookie cutter homes. Now, there are some custom builds that you can get in Castle Pines, but for the most part, you're gonna be treating out unique features and historic charm for some modern concepts and upgraded systems. A buyer who's a great candidate for Castle Pines knows that yes, 4 doors down, there might be a home that is incredibly similar to theirs. But they know that their plumbing and electrical systems are not outdated. They also know that they pack a lot of square footage and some really modern designs. You know what's a longer, maybe even more informative video than the cons of Castle Pines? Our video that is all about the beauty of Castle Pines. We have a deep dive that gives you everything you need to know about living in Castle Pines, including an extra video all about the neighborhoods of Castle Pines. And hey, you know what's even more informative than a video? A real-life conversation or an in-person tour. We have all of our information in the description below, and we're excited to talk to you.